Hi, folks. Steve Urban here from the Riderflex Podcast. Today's episode is proudly sponsored by two companies I'm deeply involved with. First up, Reliance, your trusted partner for nationwide robot maintenance and repair, specializing in humanoid and autonomous robots for homes and businesses. Visit roboreliance.com to learn more. And for all your home maintenance needs, there's Cura Home Maintenance of Colorado. From air duct cleaning to dryer vent cleaning to gutter cleanouts and much more. Check them out at curahomeservices.com. And finally, don't forget about the two books we've published in the Riderflex Guide series. The first being the Riderflex Guide, Inspiring and Hiring. This one is targeted at all types of managers and supervisors, anybody that interviews and hires people. And the second one, the Riderflex Guide 2.0, Mastering Job Interviews, designated to help all levels of job candidates prepare for and ace the interview. And now for today's episode. Please subscribe and enjoy. Jimmy, of course, has been on the Riderflex show before. Thank you for coming back, sir. Appreciate it.
Happy to be here.
What's the weather in Nashville today?
Raining. At least it's not cold. It's less cold than it was. It's 50 degrees outside, which is pretty great.
Yeah, that's
better than 6 degrees.
Yeah. What did you guys get down to 6?
Yeah. Last week. Yeah, it was bad. I luckily flew out the day that it got down to 6 degrees. So I left and flew to San Diego, but I was really glad I was gone.
Yeah, 6 is that's below average for Nashville, right? I mean, in wintertime, it's
not normal.
Yeah, not normal.
Where are you based at, Steve?
Colorado. So I'm
yeah.
I'm used to the cold and stuff, but what was it last week? Yeah, it got pretty rough. I mean, hell, once it's 6, once you go through that initial dive into the single digits, then then when it's 20 and 30, hell, it feels warm outside almost.
Yeah, it completely changes your perspective. You're like, oh, this is perfectly fine. It's 32 degrees outside.
Yeah.
Go put some shorts on. Yeah.
So you're still in Nashville. Okay, great. How are you got 2 kids, I think.
Yeah, 2 kids. Got another one on the way.
Oh, you do? So, okay, I was just about to ask.
Exciting, yeah.
Wow. All right.
Yeah, this is gonna be the final and last one, but
this is it.
We're expecting another one in March. So all of my kids will have been born in March.
Interesting.
Real strange.
Interesting.
I'm gonna have I guess I could do the combined birthday for a long time. So let's do that. Save some money.
Yeah, cool, right? Yeah.
Realize that. Yeah.
Wife's doing good?
Yeah, Megan's doing great. She hates being pregnant, but other than that, she's good.
Well, after this one, she's done, so she's good to go then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Yeah, I remember you had the 2 kids and so forth, and remembered you in Nashville. Now, I got to ask about the bus. You didn't sell the bus, did you?
No, didn't sell the bus. Still have the bus. Used it to go camping. So I'm still doing that, but it's not often that I get the chance to have any free time. But when we do, it's like one of my favorite things to do.
Well, you got 2 little ones plus you're an entrepreneur. Is my internet delayed? I don't know. I feel like I'm dragging on my internet.
You're only dragging a little bit. It's not terrible.
I don't know why that is. Maybe it'll fix itself.
I'm gonna make sure mine is good.
Yeah, you got two little kids plus you're a business owner. So yeah, there's not a lot of free time at your house.
No, it's always real touch and go when it comes to like, are we actually going to get some free time today? But I enjoy it, and I think as long as you kind of like really compartmentalize what you're doing, that you'll be fine. I don't spend as much time with my kids as I would like to some months, and then there are other months where I get to spend way more time than probably like a normal parent would. So I think it's accepting the fact that it's not normal. Like you're never going to have like a consistent schedule. You know that. Like you'll have some months where things are just busy. You have to do what you have to do. And then other months where you seem to have everything figured out. And you're like, I worked 40 hours this week. This is great.
Yeah, you know what sucks about for that with a small business owner is, let's say things are going good. Let's say you had a couple of 2 or 3 good months, whatever, things are running smooth. You're like, you know what, I'm going to go camping. I'm going to take a little time off, and then you kind of cruise for a week or two, and then something happens, right? And then you're like, oh shit,
Yeah,
I knew I shouldn't have backed off.
yeah, that is so common. Um, yeah, man. I mean, until you like get really, really good systems in place, really good staff, like that. The first, honestly, the first like 4 years of my life as a business owner were like defined by that because well, I think when you're younger, when you first get started, you have a lot harder of a time hiring and training, um, especially on the training part. You also probably make some bad hires, but yeah, when it comes to training people, and then I think the reason you're bad at training, or at least the reason I was, is you're unwilling to let go of the responsibility of the task. So you end up hiring someone, and then you do their job for them, and you pay them, and you start questioning why why they're there. And it's just like this unwillingness to let go. But I've gotten better at that recently. Real good at it in the last 2 years, which has been great
It's hard.
for me personally. I think it's also good for the business.
It's hard. Even for our recruiting business, I always feel like I got some good recruiters and they're going to do a solid job. I mean, if they don't do a solid job, we let them go. But as good as some employees are, and I have some really good people on the team. At the end of the day, they're not owners, right? They're not owners, and there's only so far they'll go, right? They'll run up to the burning house, but they may not run inside the burning house to save something. So,
Yeah, yeah, no, you're completely right. There's like this I don't know if it's like this X factor or this thing that you bring to the table when you're the guy that's actually like the buck stops with you. But I
yes,
think to that point, a CEO or especially just a pure entrepreneur, where like, you could call yourself CEO if you want, but if you're a founder, you're building something, I don't know what you are. You don't really have a title. And I think it's really important to get into that mindset because then you could say, like, hey, when things aren't on fire, when normal activities are happening and I've hired someone to do that job, I shouldn't even think about that job.
yeah,
I should think about the worst possible thing that's happening today. And I guess I'm going to have to do that. Because, yeah, you're right. You're the only one that's going to run into the burning house. If a
probably.
client gets really, really angry with your company, it's going to be you. It's not going to be someone else. If some terrible things happen, it's like it's going to be me. Like we had a situation where the vacuum pump on one of our machines at our bakery broke because someone forgot to clean out. There's like this chamber that the vacuum pump is attached to on this machine. You're supposed to clean it out, shut it before you do a production run.
Okay.
And someone had just not cleaned out these tiny little specks of dust. Dust gets in the vacuum pump, breaks the vacuum pump. Vacuum pump's dead. No one knows what to do. The only person that's really going to solve the problem or like hop in there and like fix it, get the line back and running up and running faster than anyone else would have is going to be you. And it sucks to be that guy. I guess if you had a maintenance person on staff, or I was a bigger bakery, we were doing like $100 million and stuff, and you had a guy on staff that fixed machines, that would be the guy, and it
Maybe.
wouldn't be a disaster then.
Yeah.
Then it would just be like, well, there's this guy there that does it, so no longer is it a disaster. But until you have that guy, that's on you.
And
And
even
the smaller
still,
you are, the more of those things exist.
you might have to be involved. I heard, I don't know what podcast you listen to, but I like some of Alex Friedman's stuff. And, he was interviewing Mark Andreessen, and Andreessen was telling him Elon Musk story about his management style. And one of the things, I'm not going to quote it exactly, but one of the things he said Musk will always do is that when he has his one-on-one touch bases, he'll say, "What is your number one biggest problem right now?" And then once that person says what it is, he'll just help them fix that, right? That he'll just be like, "Okay, we're going to fix that today."
Yeah. I think because he inherently knows, like, you fix that, you're not going to have to come back fixing more stuff.
Yeah.
And then it makes your life inherently easier.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I've adopted a mentality that's like real similar to that. Like, I think that if you continue to like, uh, you put it in your mind that, hey, my job will never be easy. It'll probably always be filled with like really bad challenges essentially every week.
Yep.
And you sign up for that, and then you realize that like you should basically plow the road, like snow off the road, or however you want to visualize it, for the employees behind you
Yeah.
to be able to do whatever job it is you want them to do.
Exactly.
Because I mean, if they're doing their jobs and they're empowered to do them, then like you're not going to sit there and say like, I wish you would just do that thing you're supposed to do, or why are there fires all the time and I'm trying to fight them. You got to make it to where like their job is easy, your job
Yep.
is always hard.
What can you?
Your job is hard by making their job easy.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
We got into we can get off of this topic, the whole employee versus ownership mindset. My wife, let's tell you this funny story. She was helping me with Riderflex for the last 24 months. And so, when she's inside of Riderflex and, and we're working together, she's thinking way up at 30,000 feet, cash flow, how's that client doing? Where's that recruiter at? Bigger, things that owners think about, right? Anyway,
Yeah.
she took a job somewhere else about, I guess it's been 4 months or so, 4 or 5 months or so. And wow, how quickly she shifted into employee mindset versus owner. Now she comes home and it's like, what coffee's in the break room, or the girls are arguing about who's going to bring the banana pudding to the thing next week, small shit, like stuff that just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I was and I was telling her, I
That's
was like, man,
fascinating,
I was
actually.
like, I was like, wow, you shifted gears real fast.
That's wild. I I've never I guess this is the first time I've ever heard someone tell me that, and that's really interesting. Now I'm wondering if I would be like
Oh,
that.
you totally,
Maybe.
we totally would. Yeah, we totally would.
Yeah.
Because when you're an employee, you check out. You're like, okay, cool, work's over. I'm gonna go meet Bobby for beers, and we're gonna watch the game, and I'm not gonna think another second about it. Me and you,
Yeah.
that never happens. Even when we're at the campsite, we're thinking about it. We're trying not to, but we
Yeah.
are.
Yeah, your head is constantly spinning with like, here are all the things that I should be doing, or all the things that I want to do, or like I just said or alluded to. It's like I've turned my job personally at NoBaked into just chief firefighter. Like, I go where the fire is, and then
Yep.
when the fire's out, I move on to the next one, because
Yep.
they are infinite in theory.
Yeah.
But I think it's really important to do that if you want to build something that's going to grow,
Yeah. Yeah. No
and
doubt.
you
Yeah,
want to
it's
make
part of
it
it.
so that you can actually hire people.
Yep.
Oh,
Oh,
also, when I'm fighting fires, I'm not putting like band-aids on. You're going out and like you're trying to like fix it permanently,
that's
so
right.
it's not a problem again. But
How
even
big's
if
it?
you do that, there's always infinite stuff.
How big's your team now?
Team now, still real small on like the full-time basis. So if you look at us like administratively, you're like the people that are working here full-time. To me, our operations director Lexi, she's been here since 2020, and then Megan, obviously the CEO. I'm kind of like chief fixer, like I said, and then we've got a plant manager down in Chattanooga at our bakery down there,
Okay.
and then we've got a store manager over at the scoop shop. And other than that, everyone else is part timers. So I mean, we just have an
Okay.
infinite amount of part time employees. I
Yeah.
mean, some of them are essentially full time, but you like how that goes. Like, you're like churning people and like figuring stuff out. We also have a really great assistant plant manager down in Chattanooga. That's been a huge unlock for us. We're hiring an assistant GM for the store downtown too, just to try to like continue to push me and Megan out of that role of like day to day operations, because it allows them. I've also noticed, it was really hard for me to step away and to like let them do their thing. But after I spent a lot of time training them and then told them like, you call me at any hour, any day with a question. Eventually they stopped calling me. And that was weird. But also it felt really good because it was like, okay, well, I guess things are going really well. And then you can see if you've built a system where like you've got some KPIs for that guy, like I can see on QuickBooks or on wherever I'm like tracking that stuff, like the labor is good, orders are shipping, they're shipping on time, customers aren't complaining.
Yeah.
There's no like problems with
Yeah.
cookie dough.
Yeah.
And then you start to see that. And we've got similar KPIs for the scoop shop we've had since 2017, where it's
It's a
like,
gift shop.
what are
Is
the
there,
Google reviews like?
do you have a gift shop inside another location, or it's you have a brick and mortar store yourself, or I can't
It's
remember.
a brick and mortar. Yeah, it's a brick and mortar store ourselves. It's downtown in Nashville, where our employees. It's inside a food hall, but the employees are down there scooping cookie dough for people, making milkshakes, making sundaes with our product. It's just a dessert shop. A lot of fun. I actually like working there when I get to.
Okay.
It's not often, but yeah, that one's a lot of fun. And again, it's like this weird thing that happens over time, and it only happens when you decide to step away. Because if you never step away, those employees start to think that they don't have a
Yeah.
good job, and
Yeah.
then they just start. I think they probably get frustrated with you. I've had bosses like that in the past, and I don't think I saw it at the time, but it was like, "Hey, man, could you just let me do my job instead of doing it for me?" And
Uh,
I think if you hire really good people, which a lot of the times you'll hire like a rock star, and then you'll just ruin it because you just don't give them
that's
the
true.
tools to like,
That's true.
do their
It's
thing.
true. It's true. So you got the gift shop. You're selling at you're selling at the store. You're selling on Amazon. You're selling on your own website, and you're
Yep.
selling. Looks like you're wholesaling to other outlets, right?
Yeah, yeah. We're last time we talked, we were not in a ton of distribution. Since then, we have nationwide distribution with UNFI. We're in KHE, not nationwide, and we're with P10 Foods and Rainforest up in the New England area. Some other distributors, and then we sell to a variety of independent, like family-owned grocery stores, a variety of like natural stores. We're selling the fresh market. That's one of our favorites out here on the East Coast, and then we sell nationwide with DoorDash on DashMart, and
I
then
saw that.
also
Yeah.
we're expanding our relationship with GoPuff, hopefully to nationwide at some point, and doing some really cool stuff with GoPuff. In relation to our online store, we're trying to do this thing with them where they're going to start fulfilling our online orders. We're really excited about this, and they came to us with this idea. We originally had stopped pushing our online store. We stopped running ads for it in 2021 because it's really hard to deliver food and people actually get a good experience. It's going to go through UPS.
I
It
see.
might melt.
I see.
Even if you put ice packs in there, they might get upset. It's not the greatest experience for the customer.
Yep.
By partnering with GoPuff in a certain region, we're going to start offering 1 hour delivery. So someone can come onto our Shopify site, check out, and the order will actually get fulfilled by GoPuff.
Where's
Really
that being
excited to launch
stored?
that.
Where's that being stored?
It's going to be stored in GoPuff's little micro fulfillment centers. So someone would have to be in a major metro area, but out on the East Coast where we're going to test it, GoPuff has fulfillment centers everywhere.
I see.
They have over 600 of them nationwide,
I see.
and
Good.
it's a similar experience to ordering from like Uber Eats. But they'll be able to order from our website. People won't know it's coming from GoPuff. Although it might say that on our Shopify like shipping page. It
Okay.
might say like instant delivery by GoPuff. But when that launches this summer, it's going to be really exciting because it's going to give us the opportunity to see maybe that's another way that we can grow and actually run things. And for me, it's always been about, and especially for Megan, like what is the customer's experience with our product and our brand?
Yeah.
If they have a bad experience, ruins everything. So
Yeah. No doubt.
I'd rather them get their cookie dough like that or from the grocery store than buy it, in a way that it's going to come through UPS and like maybe something bad happens and they have a bad experience with the brand.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, do you have enough margin? I guess you do. I'm sure I know you guys have done the math, but I mean, I'm just thinking, man, you got to ship it to their little micro distribution. Then they have, and they're buying it. Are they buying it in bulk from you on a wholesale? How's
Yeah,
it?
so they're buying it from you. They buy it from Unify for their own fulfillment centers. So they sell it, they retail it on their app. So
I
people are
see.
buying it from them.
I
And then
see.
if someone happens to order from our website and they fulfill that order, they'll charge us for it.
I see.
And
I see.
ironically, after all of that, it is still cheaper than shipping it to the customer from UPS.
No shit.
which is funny.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because you get rid of the ice pack, you get rid of the
Oh,
box, you get
okay.
rid of a lot of
I
stuff.
see. I
And
see.
then shipping on average is about like 9.50 a box. If someone's out on the West Coast, I'm sure it's way more, but on average for our customers on our online store, we offer free shipping on everything. Um, we it's 9.50 out of pocket. So
Okay.
if you take all that stuff and add it up, it ends up being a number that's a lot bigger than what GoPuff charges us to fulfill the
Interesting.
order.
Okay, good to
So
know. So you're thinking about acquiring other brands before you dive further into large retailers, or you're going to attack both at the same time?
we're probably going to keep the NoBaked brand primarily in the channels that it's in right now.
Okay.
So natural and independent grocery stores. We are going to grow it a lot, so it's going to be a lot bigger than it is today. Like I said, we're going to go from we're in about 50 GoPuff sites today. Hopefully, we'll be in all 600 by the end of the year. Um, we're going to work on getting into more like independent natural retailers.
Okay.
There's some really great ones that I've talked to recently, like Sprouts, Gelson's, like really good retailers.
Who's opening those
Um,
doors, by the way? Who's banging on those doors? Is that you?
That's me. Yeah. I it's currently me and a team of other people. We have a broker. It's really, really great to
You have a
work with.
broker. Okay.
Um, so we're doing that. And then as far as the other major retailers go, we've just thought recently a lot about the idea of potentially acquiring someone else in the cookie dough space, maybe someone else in a tangential category that's not even cookie dough but fits into our line.
Okay.
Um, there are people that make bars where their lines are very similar to ours. And just been pondering that. And then we actually do have a potential acquisition that we could do that we were approached with that's in the cookie dough space. Not allowed to say who it is.
Bet I can
It's
guess.
not. Yeah, you might be able to guess. It's not the obvious answer. Um, it's not someone who's active on LinkedIn or anything like that.
Oh, okay.
And they,
No, no,
yeah.
because I had Erica Rankin from Brodo on the podcast, I
Oh
think,
yeah, yeah.
but I think I think she closed.
She did, and Erica's a friend of mine. She ended up deciding to shut down.
Yep.
Um,
Anyway, sorry,
yeah.
didn't mean to go off track, but go ahead. So
Oh
you
no,
think,
you're fine.
yeah.
So it's gonna be someone like that. Hopefully, and they are a lot older than our brand, and they
Okay.
have more sales than we do.
Okay.
But they have been co-packing the entire time. So the theory goes that we could go in there, shift the margin profile a lot, make it very different than it is today, and that would allow us to take them from being a brand that breaks even to a brand that makes a little money. Um, it would make us more money because you get more synergy in the plant, more volume, and then it also allows us to position the brands differently. Today, both their brand and our brand actually sit on some of the same shelves,
Okay.
um, which is fine, and we would continue to operate both of them separately as they are. Probably wouldn't change anything, and then we would um, just go about positioning them differently to different buyers. And that's how we've thought about a lot of other products too. I think when you decide to build the infrastructure for making food, anyone should start to consider the idea of doing acquisitions if they're in the position to, because you're going to change that probably. And there are a lot of people out there that have done a ton of work and laid the groundwork for a brand to do really, really well, and may not be making money because of the way that they've decided to grow the brand, which is also good for them, but it also may be good for you. And that's why for us today, we're actually working on raising money to empower ourselves to do that.
Okay. So that was my next question. All right. So for these acquisitions, you need the cash to do it.
Yeah, yeah, we need the cash to do it. A lot of them will be powered by debt because it's actually, as long as there's actual profit there, like it's going to be a profitable thing, then you
Okay.
can go in and like work with the SBA and do the debt thing. But you definitely have to have equity too, and you can't just pay for something with like full financing. Anyone that's ever bought a house knows that. So that's something that we've been looking into, and it's why we're actually doing a crowdfunding round right now. We want
Okay.
to be able to give ourselves
All
the
right.
tools
All right.
to work with it.
Tell us about the crowdfunding. Where can we find it? Where is it? Tell us about it.
Yeah, so we're crowdfunding on Start Engine again. We actually
Start it.
worked with them back in 2021 to do a crowdfunding round back then. We are limiting it to $500,000, so we're not going to raise more than $500,000. The goal is to keep it really small. We don't need more than that, and we're earmarking that money, literally setting it aside to potentially use it on acquiring other brands. We're real excited to be doing it, and I think that uh, if someone's like curious about like getting into the CPG space or they want to learn more, doing like going on to the crowdfunding sites is actually a really cool way to see the inner workings of a lot of brands who have been willing to go on there and disclose their financials,
All right.
disclose how they operate. It's actually a really great way to learn about that stuff. And we did it too. And I think that it's a really great way to raise money, especially when you're consumer facing.
Is,
You have a lot of customers. Your customers may want to give you like $200, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I
is
think
Start
that
Engine, is it, do you get rewards for contributing or you get equity? I can't remember how that one works.
you get equity. Yeah, so everyone that invests in the company will get equity. If you write a bigger check, you get a lot more equity than you do if you write a smaller one. You get bonus shares, which really just changes the valuation that someone is getting. So if someone ends up writing a check that I normally would have gotten from a larger investor, they're going to get the valuation that I was giving larger investors last year, anyways. Um, which we didn't raise much money, but if someone wasn't interested in giving us money, usually we like pre-negotiated it, did a thing with a safe note, and raised money that way.
Okay.
This way, it kind of allows us to cater to both investors at the same time. And Start Engine is a really great platform for you to be able to go out there, market the raise, and then if someone is interested, rather than going back and forth and doing the DocuSign thing and talking to the lawyers, it's super simple. They
Yeah.
go on there, put in their credit card information, they're done,
Yeah.
or wire it or whatever they want to do.
What's your pre-raise valuation, or can you share that?
Yeah, I can. The pre money valuation on Start Engine's 9 million. If you do a $50,000 check, which is what a normal angel investor would do, or a $25,000 check, the valuation is technically a little lower. Um,
Okay.
Back of the table off math on the 50,000 check, it's like 6.3 million. And after this acquisition that we're gonna hopefully close on is done, it's like a very, very fair valuation.
Pre raise valuation is 9 million right now. Is that a self is that a self valuation, so to speak, or where's it coming from?
So our old round on Start Engine was at a $9 million valuation.
Okay.
We decided with Start Engine, talked to the guys over there, decided to just keep it the same.
Gotcha. All right. Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough.
Many reasons behind that, but we felt like it was good for the old investors um, to keep it the same, allow them to get back in at the same price. And
Okay.
then we did the bonus shares, like very, very aggressive bonus shares to be able to give people an even lower valuation. I think our goal is to actually start looking at doing an exit once we get through these in the next like 2, 3 years. And by these, I mean like the acquisitions of other brands.
Yeah.
Um, and when we thought about it, we wanted to think about it from the investor's perspective, like what kind of return would they get?
Okay.
Can't guarantee that they would get like an incredible return, but you can at least like be realistic and say like if we hit like our goals, are they going to get a good return? You are locking your money up for a long time. Like for instance, in the amount of time those people have had their money in NoBaked or any venture for that matter, honestly, in the private market in the last like 4 years, you've been sitting there and in reality, there is no liquidity. Like the valuation could be whatever it is, and you're not going to get your money back. And in that same period of time, you could have put your money in the S&P and would probably, I don't know if it would have doubled. It would have gotten pretty close.
Yeah.
Like probably not double, but like you'd probably like have like $1.50 if you'd put in $1. So I think the way that I think about it is like if we then extend this out another like 3 years, am I going to double these people's money? Is that a realistic outcome? Is that something that I can do for them? And if something better than that happens, like that's awesome. But that's kind of how I've thought about it. I don't want to think about it from the principle of like anything else at this point.
Yeah, good
Even if we
move.
could have gotten a higher valuation by like talking about the acquisitions and like, hey, we're going to take this $500,000 after they're done. We'll have 3 million in EBITDA or whatever. You know, the brand's worth this much, so you should give me this much today. I don't think that's fair either. I think the most fair thing is to say like, what's our realistic outcome, and like, are we going to help these people make money?
I like
So
that. I like that.
yeah,
That's good, Jimmy. Thanks for sharing that. How long ago did the first crowdfunders put money in? When was that?
that was in January of 2021. So
Yeah,
it was 4 years
yeah,
ago.
yeah. So they're well, 4 years. Yeah, so they're okay. Yeah, they're okay. But yeah, they'll be happy to hear your new speech about, hey, look, man, we're going to do a couple of acquisitions here, and then we're going to sell this thing, and you're going to get your money back.
Yeah, that's the hope. Like I think when anybody, I was actually talking to the guys at Start Engine and at WeFunder and a lot of the other crowdfunding sites prior to doing this race. And I'd been very hesitant to do it again. I was like, I don't know if I should do this. Maybe I should just go out to angel investors and try to raise $500,000. That is also not, it is hard, but it is not any more difficult than doing a crowdfunding round. They're both very equally difficult. And one of the questions I'd ask them is like, how many exits have there been? Because these things really, if you look at those sites, they really didn't start raising money for people until 2020. They
Yeah,
have been around longer than that, but they did not have a lot of volume.
yeah,
And the idea of selling equity in a startup, a private company, is very new to a lot of people.
yeah.
And I think that a lot of people may have not understood what they were getting into.
Agreed.
Um, I think that the outcomes in theory would be good, but I think one of the other problems was Start Engine and WeFunder back then were not as they're not as pushy about your valuation. Today, they're very diligent about not letting you launch if they think your valuation is insane. Um,
Mm.
Now, if your valuation is reasonable, then they just go ahead and they'll launch a campaign and they'll partner with you. And some of them are a little bit more diligent about it than others. I think that's the main hiccup because I don't think there's a lot of people like me out there trying to do that. I also think the other problem is a lot of people raising on those platforms are not thinking about liquidity in the future.
Yeah. Uh,
So like if you raise money today from investors, you really do have to say like,
yeah,
hey,
yeah,
like what stage are we at? And then in 7 years or whenever it is you're targeting, for us in 2021, it was 7 years. We said to ourselves, like in 7 years, are we going to be able to sell this thing? And like, do we have a plan to do that? At the time we did, that plan has changed a lot. That's another hiccup that people wouldn't have thought about is that you put money into this early stage thing. It may not work. If they're a founder like me, they may continue on. But a lot of other people in my position in 2023 would have probably folded. NoBaked went through a really, really difficult period, 22 to 23. We pivoted business models heavily from a lot of e-commerce and a lot of ads to trying to do the grocery thing. We fired our co-man and built the bakery. We made a lot of tough decisions to get profitable. And those weren't exactly fun to do. And I only did them because I really believed in the brand. And it's a thing that also was eating at me because of the type of person I am, is in the back of my mind. I was like, there are a lot of people that gave me a lot of money and I am not going to lose their money. Now, I understand that in startups, like that happens. Like that happens all the time. As far as funded startups, like once they get the venture capital or once they get the funding, they're more likely to fail because you have more money to allocate. And a lot of people are bad with money.
yep.
So I have had that as a motivating factor for many years. Um,
Good for you.
right around 2023, we started to build the plan that we currently have today of our exit. We were planning on never raising money again, probably ever. Um, I think doing these acquisitions and doing a roll up of a few different brands under our manufacturing facility will allow us to exit faster. And that just became like my kind of like oath to like the old investors and also our brand. One of the things I believe about our brands and a lot of the others that are under our umbrella, hopefully in the future, is that we're all very niche, and we're going to have a lot better of a shot of growing into the brands that we want to become if we're able to exit to the right partner that's not a strategic buyer, but more likely a private equity firm that's going to help them grow, and has the capital to do that.
Okay.
I think if a lot of our brands got bought by a strategic partner, there's a chance that they go the way of that tea company, like Honest Tea. Like the founder of Honest Tea sold his company to, I think, Coca-Cola almost 20 years ago. It had a really great run, and then 1 or 2 years ago they shut it down. No more brand. So
Wow.
it's gone.
Yeah.
And I think that also is not what I personally am looking for. I'm not super emotional about NoBaked. I do have kids, so my business isn't my kid, but I don't want to see my hard work go to waste. I don't want to see the brand shut down. And I think that if you partner with the right people after the exit, that's not going to happen. I think if you build a profitable company, that's not going to happen. And so those have kind of become our things that we're focused on. I think if we roll other brands under our umbrella, it will be similar. Let's focus on how do we make this whole thing profitable together? How do we make it symbiotic? And then how do we find the right partner to exit to that's not going to be in it for the wrong reasons?
Yeah. The acquisition that you're working to close on, where did you get the cash for that, or did you have it? How are you doing that deal?
That deal is actually, so the only thing left to do is we have to get this crowdfunding round done.
Okay.
So that was the main push behind it. I am not using all of the crowdfunding money to acquire that brand. So once we're just even a little bit into the round, that acquisition will get done. It will get announced, and after it's announced, the rest of the crowdfunding round will fill up real fast.
Okay.
So
Okay.
people will probably get real excited once the first one's been done. I think then it'll get a lot of validity to what I'm working on.
Okay.
And hopefully it'll send the message to people that like, hey, I'm really serious about what we're doing here. The goal is to use the operational efficiency that we've built to actually build like a real company.
I know. I like
something
that
makes money.
I like the operational synergies for sure, and running the stuff through the plant that you have. I think your challenge, I'm sure you've thought of this, your challenge is going to be, oh shit, now we're marketing for two different brands. Like building and maintaining one brand reputation is hard.
Yeah.
Doing two with a similar sized team is harder.
Oh, it's incredibly hard. And it's why I think people are going to become very indispensable for me over the next few months. And keeping the teams from the businesses that we're acquiring, or if the founders are choosing to step away, trying to figure out who's going to replace them.
Yeah.
Because I'm mostly with my strategy talking about this operational backbone. That sales and marketing piece a lot of the time comes from the founders. Even on older brands, it comes from the founders.
Mm-hmm.
I've met people who have been doing this for 20 years, and the founder and CEO still does all of the buyer pitches. The brokers and the VP of sales might get in those meetings.
Yeah.
But the person pitching it to Kroger, the person going to meet with Walmart, that's usually the founder.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be key to continue that kind of thing, like moving forward.
Okay.
And also to not touch and not mess with anything that they're doing. Say like, you guys do what you do. Let's make it so where you actually make profit, and then just move on.
I'm sure in this deal you saw the low hanging fruit. You've studied the numbers enough to go, okay, if I do this, this, and this, I can get that EBITDA to a respectable number.
Yeah, I've been real excited about this one because of that. And this one came to me. This one is what I didn't come up with the strategy on my own. This was somebody approached me and said, hey, have you guys ever thought about it? And I was like, no, I haven't. I've never thought about buying someone. Not something that's on the roadmap. And it took me about 2 months to get over the hump to being like, okay, this actually might be a good idea. And then we have a guy on our board. His name's Pat, really great dude. He's the CEO of an egg company up in upstate New York in
Okay.
Buffalo,
Okay.
and he had done a lot of acquisitions when he worked at Smucker's. And the most notable one that he did was Uncrustables. So he purchased Uncrustables when they were at about $1 million in revenue,
All right.
which is crazy. So like real small, like
Wow.
really small company. And he's part of the reason why I felt comfortable doing it, because I
Okay.
talked with him for hours about what could go wrong. And I think that the more you think about it, the more it's like becoming very obvious in our world in this CPG space that there have been a lot of people for a long time that were incentivized to build sales and marketing machines, and a lot of people in the co-man space that are just kind of not growing or they're getting ready to retire. And that's probably one of those boring businesses that fits into that category. There's going to be a big disruption soon of, I think, mergers, or at least people trying to figure out how do we take all these like sales and marketing machines and make them profitable. And the interesting part about it is that is actually what happens in the top level M&A in the CPG space. It's always been what's happened. Nestle will buy a brand that's doing over 100 million in revenue but losing money, and then within a year it will be making money, and it's simply because of operation
Yeah.
synergies.
Yeah.
Um, and they'll be enjoying the fruits of the labor of the founder that built that brand.
Yeah. Have
It
you?
never happens in the small arena though. It never happens with tiny brands, and I
Mm,
think with tiny
mm.
brands is where it's going to start to happen, especially with Komen. I think Komen are going to start buying brands. Um, it's a really obvious move if I was running my own Komen, which I kind of do. Like
Well, I was
it
just
makes a
you
lot of
took the yeah you took the words right out of my mouth. Is your little plant down there that you have big enough to actually be a co-packer for other brands?
yeah, we don't use it. Not like we should. Like you were asking me about full-time employees, and I was like, yeah, I mean, sort of. The plant managers are there every day because those guys need full-time jobs. But we only have the full staff there on production days, and
So
we also produce empanadas for one of my friends' brands.
well,
We
there you
produce
go.
those
I mean,
down
there
there.
there you go. Take on two or three more of those, and then you're off to the races. What's the square footage?
It's about 10,000 square feet, so it's not a huge building.
You got a
But
chance. You
as
said you
far
got
as
a
like
chance to buy
production,
it. Will they sell it
you have
to
a
you?
chance to buy it. Yeah, no, I think they will.
I'd buy it. I would for sure. I mean,
I'd buy it right now.
yeah, I would. I mean, if I were you, I mean, no doubt about it. I mean, you and Megan should buy it separately under you and Megan should buy that. And then if this whole thing I'm sure you've thought about this. And then if this whole thing
I
exits,
haven't, so now I'm interested.
yeah, no, you and Megan should buy that under a separate LLC. And then when this whole thing exits, it's like, okay, cool. Yep, we're out. And by the way, do you want to lease our building? And then
Yeah,
and then you're, you got your exit pay, and then you still now you're getting paid on a renter for the building. Yeah, for sure. I
for
would
sure.
I'd make a
Like,
move, but I'd buy it separately under just for you guys. That's what I would do. But and then I was going to ask you, the will you and Megan still together have more than 51% after this raise?
yeah,
Great. Good for
we're
you.
still gonna have a lot of equity. As we acquire more brands, I'm like super willing. One thing that may change that is I'm
Yep.
very, very willing to allow the founders to keep equity
Okay.
and to just merge.
Mhm.
Um, I think like we like, at least in my mind, the way that I think about this is we should be a lot more concerned with getting somewhere where we can exit and build something that's really cool than like keeping certain amount of equity or control.
Yeah.
I would like to continue to have like total control of the company by being largest shareholder, but I want to make it in a way to where I like have the ability to continue to operate and execute the strategy. Don't really care about how much I own as long as I am the guy in the driver's seat. Um, I think there's the control freak in me coming out. That's why I had such a hard time letting go of
Uh,
employees.
I tell you what I did at Riderflex with that is, so I actually only own 33% of Riderflex.
Interesting.
But we did Class A, Class B units on the cap table. And in the operating agreement, it basically says whoever has the majority of Class A is in control of calling the daily shots. So I'm in control of day to day because I'm the largest Class A holder. But if we exited, I only own 33%. So if that makes sense.
That does make sense. And
Yeah.
that's kind of like the best, I mean, best situation for the founder or the CEO or whoever's in
Yeah.
charge. You want to make sure that you can continue to do what you need to do.
Exactly. Of course,
Um,
the problem is, if you take money from a PE firm, if you take enough money from a PE firm, they're gonna
you're
want
not
to
going to
be
do that.
no.
Yeah, they're like, that's our job now. Yeah, I had that same conversation with Pat because he was like, we were talking about the like exit strategy, and he was like, "Yes, you're going to sell the whole thing," and I was like, "Well, I could stay. We could
Yeah.
keep equity," and he was like, "You don't want to do
Probably not.
that."
Yeah, probably
He's
not.
like, "You don't want to.
I
You don't
mean,
want to get in
maybe
bed with those people."
he's right. Maybe you sign on for a 2 year, what do they call it? A 2 year ride along, right? They call it a ride along. And you're like, yeah, okay, I'll
Yeah,
ride along for a couple of years and be a consultant at 200 grand a year, and I'll stay for 2 years to hang out, and then I'm out.
yeah, yeah. He was saying something like that because he was like, "Look, like you're gonna have disagreements, and you're one of
Oh,
those
totally.
people." And he's right. I think when you've been in the CEO seat for so long, or the founder seat, or whatever control you've had, it could be the dumbest thing argument about, but you really think your opinion's right. I remember when I had jobs, and this is, I think, a sign for some people that they should take seriously. I really hated when people made decisions too slowly for me, or they wouldn't let me do something. And that's interesting because it's not that you wanted to be lazy. It's not that you literally wanted to work harder.
Yeah.
Like you wanted more control. You wanted to do things your way because you thought it would make more money or you thought it would create a certain outcome. That's a real good sign that you should probably consider starting your own business.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't think you having to go be an employee, no, you'd rather stick needles in your eyeballs, I think. I don't think you could do it.
it just wouldn't work out. If I was the employee where it was like I'm the CEO that you left alone, I would be like, that's fine, man. Like you leave me alone, let me do my thing, let me run my ship. But
Until until you went to
there's
the
very
first
few people that are going to do that.
until you went to the first board meeting and the board's like, no, you need to do this, this, and this, and then you'd be like, okay, I quit.
And you're like, oh, what is this, guys? Like, stop. Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, real quick, let's wrap up with the crowdfunding again. So it's on Start Engine.
Yep.
All right, it's on Start Engine, and how do they find it? Do they just put in no baked or
So couple different options. If you go to our social media, it's linked on there. So you go to at NoBaked anywhere. It's NoBaked. If you go to Start Engine's website, you can just type in NoBaked NoBaked will pop up. I highly recommend actually if you're interested in that space or interested in getting into angel investing and you don't have a ton of money or you don't want to write giant checks, I actually recommend going on the crowdfunding platforms and doing it.
okay,
I actually own shares in a bunch of grants on there
okay,
personally.
okay.
Um, Something I believe in. I also think it's something you be real careful about, specifically around the exit, because whether or not they're going to sell the company
Yeah.
matters to you. But yeah, you can find it on Start Engine there. And if you want to keep up with me or Megan, the best place to do it is LinkedIn. You go follow us or connect with us on LinkedIn, Jimmy Feeman or Megan Feeman. You'll see all our posts on there. We'll post about the crowdfunding round. I also post about a lot of other stuff. And I love connecting with you people on there.
Yeah, Jimmy Feeman, Nashville, in case there's more than one that pops up, just put in Nashville, you'll see him on there. Okay, and then no baked, hold on. I just want to do so nobakedcookiesdough.com, baked BAKED. So nobakedcookiesdough.com. Okay, very good.
Yep.
Well, hey man, listen, the average business only what is it? The average business like something like 70% fell in the first 3 years or something. I don't know. It's a crazy ass number.
Something wild like that. Yeah.
Yeah, you're on what, 7, 8, year 7, 8? I mean, hey, you're doing all right.
We're year 8 in 1 month, which
See?
is
I mean,
wild.
hey, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Thanks,
you
dude.
being back on the show, man. I really congrats to you and Megan.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Love that you do
Huh?
the show. Happy to
Yeah.
be on anytime.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.